how to easily create a homeschool schedule that you can stick to. An easy starting point is the goal in this video with you today. You know, I think homeschool schedules are probably one of the most talked about subjects, either when we begin to homeschool or in the middle of our journey. But I'm here to tell you, I have had many homeschool schedules, and I want to share 3 points to get you started quickly on the road to smoothing out any problems or hiccups that you may have had in scheduling. Like I said, in my years of homeschooling, I have seen many tips, some of them crazy, some of them out there, some of them really workable. But my goal in my videos are always to share simple, easy tips, not something we have to learn to follow public school, not something another family has to do, but something that will work for your family. So I'm going to share 3 starting points or 3 ways that I get started with an easy homeschool schedule. But first, let me tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Tina Robertson. I've homeschooled about 25 years. I have 3 homeschooled grads. I have my site that's Tina's Dynamic Homeschool Plus. Come and follow me over there for great tips. I've created numerous unit studies. I am the creator of the 7-step homeschool do-it-yourself planner, lap books. In addition, I have online courses to help new homeschoolers. For a while, I taught in-person classes to new homeschoolers for about 10 years. And then I brought those online, or those in-person classes, I should say, online so that many more can take advantage of it. I love the homeschooling world. I love giving back. I love sharing tips that I've learned through the years. What good does it do anybody for me to keep those tips to myself? So one thing I really love talking about, and that's organization, schedules, and routines. Yes, I know sometimes those words get a bad rep in the homeschool world. And the longer I homeschool, the more I see those schedules, or even saying the word schedule makes some people think, oh no, straitjacket, hem me in. But I want you to feel the same way I do about schedules and routines, which is really giddy. And it's breathing fresh air into my day. It's releasing me from all the things that I think I have to do when I create a simple schedule that is beautiful for my family. And yes, I do think, like I said, sometimes people think if they hear schedule or routine that they're going to be hemmed in or their little wings are going to be clipped. And that's not what I want to do. But I want to share tips that will work for your family, general tips, and to keep some pointers in mind as I've helped numerous homeschoolers throughout the year. So the first thing that I want to share with you then, like I was talking about, are my 3 easy steps to a homeschool schedule. And I have my notes here and I have my notes here because sometimes I like to get sidetracked and go off on these other points to share with you. That wouldn't do you any good if I get too sidetracked because I love to talk to you. So I have my notes here and here and to keep myself reined in. Okay, so here's one of the things that you want to avoid when you create a schedule. And that is, first, not trying to not fit someone else's schedule. They don't live your life. You don't live their life. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. So it's much better to find general tips and the how-tos. What is a simple place to start? Okay. A second thing to keep in mind is that you do not want to plan hour by hour. Not right now anyway. You may want to do that later if it suits your family's rhythm and lifestyle. So many homeschoolers are busy now. Sometimes the hour by hour doesn't suit us. Sometimes it does. And contrary to what some people think, children really love routine. They love to see what's expected of them at a certain time. It doesn't mean that we're going to induce stress or anxiety on our kids if we set up expectations. Children love boundaries, they love knowing guidelines, they rise to the occasion. But as the parent modeling for our kids, we want to be sure that they understand to met out grace when it's needed. Or we need to just release our family when we realize that's not going to happen for the day. But setting expectations is not the cruel part. The cruel part is trying to meet them when we can't for the day. Having a plan it breathes life into our day. It sets expectations. It helps us to succeed what we want to accomplish for the day. And it gives direction. It gives direction. I know some kids, I help some parents and they say, well, I don't know what's wrong with my kid. He's aggravated the whole day. Sometimes they just want a list of what's going to go on for the day. Kids are like us. What's the plan for today? That's really all you're doing. What's the plan for today? Does it mean everything's going to be accomplished in that order and on that list? Probably not, because that's not how life is. But it's the plan for the day, and it gives everyone a boost to get started. So, and then the next thing that I want you to keep in mind when you get ready to create a schedule, and then I'll share those 3 points that will give you a way to start your schedule. And that is, not only do you not want to follow another family's routine, not only do you not want to plan hour by hour starting off, but the other thing that you don't want to do is to, when we try to fit another family's routine, we don't really have a pulse, I should say, on what our family's rhythm is. So what I'm trying to say is you need to find first the pulse of your family's rhythm. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, it's kind of like designing a house. I don't know if you ever did remodeling or maybe moved into a new house. There's certain things that your family has to have, whether it's a big kitchen, whether it's a certain number of bedrooms. Okay, I'm just using this example to show you that your family is unique. For example, do you have early risers? Is it going to be possible? Is it even realistic, I should say, for you to say, we're going to start at 9? When you know at 9 o'clock is about the time maybe the baby goes down for his first nap. So if you have older kids, you want them to get started, but instead of getting started with something that's going to require your attention, can you flip the subjects and have them start on independent work first while you care for the baby? Because in reality, your youngest child is your true scheduler. Your youngest child is your true scheduler. The rhythm of the family has to go around the youngest child, not the oldest. And that was the mistake I was making when I first started. I was very frustrated because I'd want to start teaching that first one how to read, and then I would be interrupted by the second and the third kid. Interrupted. But I realized I shouldn't have been setting up those expectations because it wasn't going to happen. And all I was doing was bringing stress on my family, my kids, and myself. So first, what is the age or how old is your youngest learner? If they're still napping, you can take advantage of school during the nap time. You're going to have interruptions for nap times, feedings, and such as this. Now, yes, sometimes the older kids can help with the younger ones. We expect that, absolutely. But there's just going to be no substitute for mom sometimes. So when I put in my schedule that we were starting at 8:30, when I first started homeschooling, it did not work. It wasn't working. But I found out that we started at 7. I didn't want to start at 7, but it wasn't up to me. We started at 7 a few years because all my kids were early morning risers. They were young. The baby was up. We did a little bit of school, but I knew when he got ready to take his nap that I could do math time or reading time with my oldest. See, so that's what I'm talking about. First, before any of these tips are going to work about how to create easily a homeschool schedule that you can stick to, you need to know the pulse of your family. Otherwise, it's like headbutting. It's like going looking for a house that's not going to work for you, and you try to cram and fit your family into a house that's not built for you. The schedule has to be built for you. Okay, so keep those points in mind that you want to find the pulse of your family first. And I have a printable, and I'll share the link too. I have a printable on my site, Tina's Dynamic Homeschool Plus, where it's very easy. It's not complicated. You even can just write it down in your journal, on your phone. But I encourage, when I'm helping homeschool parents find a schedule, I say, just take 1 week, please, and jot down when you started cooking, on which day, what time your kids actually got up, what time you took to relax, whatever 5 or 10 minutes we have during the day, hopefully a little bit more. When did you purchase groceries? When did you call extended family? When did you and your significant other have deep talks? When you look at a week, it gives you a better pulse of what your family's routine is. That's the starting point. That's the starting point. Start from your family's unique needs. Okay, now here's the 3 things when you're creating the schedule that's going to bring this breath of fresh air, because it is not an ugly word. Schedule is a beautiful word. Like I said, I'm so giddy about it. These are the 3 tips. So you want to have zones, you want to list those activities, and then you want to explore ways of how to get them done. Okay, so let me explain, what do I mean by zones? When you look at your day, you can call it morning time, afternoon time, evening time, personal time, weekend time. These are terms I used with my kids when they were young. And they knew when it was morning time routine, these were the list of things we were going to try to get done for the day. And I generally had a time to get started. Now, not all the time did we start at 9 or 9:30. We would start sometimes later. I have several friends whose husbands work shift work. They're afternoon people. We didn't get started in the afternoon. I didn't get accomplished for the day what I wanted to get accomplished for the day. When it comes to supper time, I was too tired to make those good meals for my family. So I tried to start as soon as possible in the day as I could. And that's another secret tip. Kids, whatever time they get up, whether it's mid-morning, late morning, or whatever time, if you start the afternoon, you want to give homeschool your first in the day. Your first. Because that's when kids are at their freshest most of the time. Sure, some need a little bit longer to wake up, but that's when kids have the zeal, the energy to learn. And as the day gets longer, it wanes and they get tired like we do. And I always use the example, it's kind of like working on IRS or your tax stuff when you don't want to. If you're a morning person, the time to not do it is night. If you're a night person, the time, not to do it is the morning. So that's kind of how it is with your kids. First in your day is when you want to plug in those formal lessons. Okay, so create zones. And then think about, when is that morning zone? Is it 9 to 12? And your afternoon zone is 1 to 3? Your evening zone 4 to 7? Is it personal time? My kids understood what personal time was because I helped with the family business. And sometimes I would say, this is personal time for mom. And yes, I just had to, if they wanted to work on something on their own, they could. If they played, they wanted to go outside. The point was, for those few hours, I had to be left alone. And my kids, I had activities for them to do. I had a list of activities I created, which is number 2. When I say when you create a schedule, when I said there's 3 parts, the second part is activities. List activities on those zones: morning zone, afternoon zone, evening zone, personal time zone, weekend zone. I listed all the things that I wanted to do during that time. No, I didn't give them an hour. Again, it was just a list of things that I want to do. No, I didn't complicate it by trying to learn looping and all these other terms that come recently into the homeschool world. It was just a simple routine with a list of activities I wanted to get done for the day. I can talk some more about how to alternate subjects, but right now on this video, I want to keep it very simple because I want to give you a boost to creating a homeschool schedule that you can stick to that's unique for your family. Okay, so you can name the zones whatever you want to. Reading zone, morning, afternoon, evening, and personal time were the ones that worked for me, because when I called it personal time, then I could either help other new homeschoolers, that was my time to help others, or that was work time, or just some time I needed to take off to take care of personal things too. So my children understood those, but I also listed activities underneath them. And that's what you want to do, okay? Spread out your journal or your planner. I'm a written planner girl. I've always been, no matter what apps have come along. They don't work for me. I prefer to write things down because I remember them. Also, when I write things down, I keep myself reined in. It's so easy to plug in all those little tables and all those little blanks, cheat, 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 without any forethought. And then I've overscheduled myself for the day. When I have to write things in, I remember it. And I tend to keep myself reined in without over planning activities for the day. So make a list. Here's a morning list on Monday. Here's a morning list on Tuesday. Here's a morning list on Wednesday. What do you want to accomplish for the day? Now, I will say this. On each of those days, I would stagger the list, meaning I would have different subjects start. Because sometimes if we didn't get through the whole list, then I would have things that were less important at the bottom. You just tend, right, to cover a list, you're going to go from top to bottom. So sometimes I would stagger those lists. That's another tip I can share in another video, but not right now. What I want you to do is just create activities on each day. Okay, then the third part about creating the schedule is to explore. And what do I mean by explore? Well, that's where you're going to mull over, how are these things going to get done? You're going to explore different ways to get them done. For example, let me give you this one example. When we would have a co-op and say all of my kids wanted to take particular classes. Well, while I'm setting the schedule up, one teacher might want one kid to come on this day, another kid to come on this day, and another kid to come on this day. And let me tell you, the more kids you have, the crazier it gets. And sometimes, as being the good mom, we try to bend to that because we want our children to all be able to pursue their passion. However, what I have found in my experience is that tutors, teachers, co-ops, there's always a way to find that they'll work with you on changing some of those days. So what I have done is been able to double up on those days to where I'm only away maybe one long day away from the house instead of having my time spread throughout the week. Being away, stop, start, stop, start. Now, sometimes not always, especially as my teens grew and they got older and they had high school and driving and wanted to work and in community college. Sometimes it can really be, get really hairy, but still putting each day to where you can see what's going to get accomplished for the day is explore how can I get this, how can I maximize my time away from the home? That's what I'm trying to say. And also now, we have so much like Instacart and Shipt and all those. And yeah, they can be expensive, but so is your time. So instead of always going to the grocery store in person, can you order some of those things online? And no, they don't make decisions about everything I order, but the way I maximize my time is there are some things that's not really important that one of those shoppers could pick up for us, and there's other things I prefer to do in person at the grocery store. See, I've still maximized my time because I've cut short the amount of time that we're spending at the grocery store. The same way with when it comes to cooking supper. We're exploring ways on this particular day that's perhaps a co-op. That's always going to be Instapot, crock pot day, leftover day, taco day. See, so that's what I mean by explore ways that you are going to accomplish whatever on this list of activities. Is it going to be an online class that one kid is doing while you're helping your younger set of siblings? Can the oldest do this? So what you want to do is when you begin at this basic framework each year, it helps you to avoid unrealistic planning, that feeling of defeat before you start. And it really gives you a boost in organization. So when I divided my zones, when I list my activities, when I explore my options, then that's the way that I could stick with the homeschool routine. Now, remember, avoid those things of trying to create a schedule like someone else. Don't list everything by hours. If you don't know the pulse of your family, and listen, and I encourage you, just try it for 1 week to write down. Even if you think, well, I know what time my kids get up, I know what time I cook, you'd be surprised. Sometimes we think we're eating breakfast at a certain time when really we're doing it a little bit earlier, a little bit later. And the reason is you want to stick to the schedule. You don't want to set something up that's no one can accomplish, that no one can adhere to. And then also remember, it's kind of crazy to set a schedule up when your youngest is, set a schedule up that is unrealistic when your youngest is keeping you awake at night. There will be time, it'll pass by quickly when all your kids, you'll communicate to them about a time and all of them will be able to together meet your goals. And sometimes life just hits hard, and no matter what we plan, even we do these 3 things, we can't meet those activities for the day, and that's okay. It goes back, I think about my example about a house. If you've ever built a house, putting the house on paper or just looking at it in your mind is just mulling over options until we put that house and we lay it out on paper and make a plan for it. It's not going to happen. It's not realistic. It's just something in our mind. When we get it on paper, then it becomes real. Well, that's what I want to encourage you to do with your schedule. Put it in a place where all your family can see it. The most organized homeschoolers are those who can effectively communicate how to run their household and their school to family members. What's more aggravating is when children don't know what to expect from us. And you can use apps, I think like Cozy and some of those other ones where all the family can see what everybody's doing. I like using those too, but I tell you what, out of sight, out of mind. And I would find my kids watching other apps, YouTube, something else. So I got me a big, huge calendar. I had what I call a command center in my house, and I put it up, and right there, my kids could see clear expectations in case they forgot what I expected for that day. And that does keep the arguing down. It keeps the stress level down. And actually, it's freedom. It freed up my time and my kids' time to do other things in the day that we really enjoy doing. And if we wanted to work on a project, we said, okay, there's our list of things to do, but you know what? We're not doing that today. We want to work on this project longer. It's okay. You have that freedom to do it. There's nothing about a schedule that hems you in except gives you direction. And so keep that in mind, that they're just a framework then when it comes to doing your schedule. Zones, give your zones names, list under those zones your activities, and then explore ways that you can meet whatever it is that those activities that you have in each zone. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have here, but those were just easy ways to help you to get a schedule up and running for your family. Thank you, and until next time, bye.